Well, Valentine's Day has come at last. I hope you're all taking the chance to enjoy this holiday, whether it's through romance or by overindulging in sweet things. As for me, I get to spend it playing Flash games. And you're here too, so you get to watch me. From what I've seen, Valentine's Day has had some of the weirdest web games of any holiday. We've looked at all the SpongeBob ones, but for this video, I went and grabbed a bunch of random ones for us to check out. Let's start with a few Nickelodeon ones and work our way through them. This is A Shot at Love, a target shooting game where you shoot arrows at Nickelodeon characters, or rather, targets with their faces on them. You can also shoot random normal targets that pop up. You should try to hit 2 characters from the same show in a row because you get more points for that. If you hit a certain amount of targets before the timer runs out, you unlock a new one. Gur and Zim are the first characters you unlock, so I really appreciate that. I do have to say though, the game can be surprisingly difficult. You might think you have a target locked, but because they're always moving, you'll end up missing it. Still, it's easy to get the necessary score to win even if you do miss, so it isn't too bad. The game is alright. And as a matter of fact, this is an updated version. This is what the title screen looked like in the original. SpongeBob and Squidward look a little strange, don't they? This next one is Cat's Heartbreaker Game, based on Cat from Victorious. This was made by Workin' Man and also had 2 major different versions. The first one was made with Flash and the second with HTML5. You fly around on one of those giant carpet cities as Cat and shoot at hearts. She constantly shoots, so you just guide her so she can hit them. Don't fly into the clouds though, they drain your points. Though it's actually kind of amusing to just sit in a cloud and watch yourself get drained. The kiss icons also freeze the game, which might be beneficial if there are still hearts on the screen, but it'll likely just end up wasting your time. Surprisingly, there's a bit of strategy involved here. Sometimes you can only shoot sections of hearts by letting yourself be consumed by a cloud. It's an investment where you choose to lose points in the hopes that you'll get even more. Sometimes you also have to make a choice between 2 different sections. Nobody's fast enough to hit all those hearts at once. Still, not a bad game. But another one based on a Nickelodeon sitcom is I Heart Valentine's Day, based on iCarly. This was made back in 2011. Really catchy music in this one. Spencer's famous BottleBot statue is making candy for Valentine's Day, but doing a very bad job at sorting. That isn't surprising because this game is shockingly hard to get a grasp on. Conveyor belts are moving candy hearts around and you have to click at just the right moment to drop them in a bag with a matching color. The thing is, you have to time your drops just right because they're coming on fast. It might look like you timed one right, but you hit it too early so it just barely misses the bag. Not only that, but several come in at the same time, so you have to swiftly decide which one to prioritize. These broken ones also go in the trash at the start or the end. If you aren't thinking, you might end up just missing them all. You have to be really specific. Not bad, but certainly a challenge. So to wrap up the Nickelodeon games, this is Valentine's Card Maker. You choose an image or a blank background to draw on or add stickers to. Hey, he loves being purple. Kinda silly how the fill tool still leaves the edges white though. But you have the usual drawing tools to choose from, as well as the option to color in front of or behind the existing art. The stickers are a nice touch too. This is oddly amusing. But for now, let's switch gears a little. This next game, Heartbreak Hysteria, is from Cartoon Network. We can see Chowder, Laszlo from Camp Laszlo, and Adam from My Gym Partner's a Monkey here. It's not easy being a heartbreaker. Man, I know. Such a dangerous lifestyle to lead. The goal is to see what the instructions describe as the funny side of love, which I guess is what this image entails. You do this by strategically clicking groups of 2 or more blocks with the same color. This allows other blocks of the same color to meet. You just do this until you can see the image behind them. Just make sure you're careful about it. If you don't break the blocks in the right order, you might not be left with any combinations in the end. Then you won't get to see this hilarious image. Such a shame. We'll never know the funny side of love. But either way, let's take a break from the cartoon games for the time being. There are many Valentine's Day games for us to check out, so let's take a moment to look at a few that aren't based on any big forms of media. This is Be My Valentine, an old Flash game with a bit of an interesting concept. It's Valentine, and you need to prove your love by kissing your boyfriend all day long. Would you be his Valentine? No. And I think there are other ways to prove your love apart from kissing someone for a whole day. Kissing doesn't always equal true love. Little lesson for you all. Anyway, you're in a restaurant and you have to keep this couple kissing for as long as you can. Apparently PDA isn't allowed here, so you have to stop yourselves whenever a waiter walks in. It's a very strange concept. Are we playing as Jeff and Bridget from Total Drama Action or something? And for a restaurant that emphasizes the Valentine's Day aesthetic, they sure don't like it when couples do anything romantic, even if they only seem to have a baseline understanding of how romance works. But things will only get weirder from here. There were a few brief flash games made by ICQ friendship cards back in the 2000s. You could show these to your friends and maybe they'd like you a little more. Or not. Usually not. In this one, Cupid's Arrow, you're trying to make this guy fall in love with this girl by shooting her with Cupid's arrow. But that would be a boring result, wouldn't it be? Instead, you can hit almost everything else to make it fall in love with him instead. However, he doesn't seem to mind it no matter what it is, be it this rock or even the dog. You can even give him a pretty trashy partner. And I'm just saying, that lamppost might not have been such a bad deal. What? What are you looking at me like that for? But an even stranger one is Valentine's Love. You choose a random number and this strange guy confesses to you in a different location.
I love you. I just love you. I love you, darling. I really love you, darling.
The feeling is not mutual. Seriously, I think this guy has a few issues to sort out. Another strange one is Valentine's Day, which had both a male and female version. You knock the petals off a flower while this little character does the infamous loves me not ritual.
Loves me? He loves me not.
Yeah, it's fun to just watch them sulk in agony.
He loves me! Wahoo! Oh, baby! Oh, baby!
You're welcome. Anyway, moving on from those, this is Commuter Cupid by Chorus Entertainment Inc. They're a pretty big Canadian company and have a wide array of flash games to look through. This one's really simple. You're Cupid and you have to shoot people at the train station. Simple as the concept may be, you do this by firing an arrow into the air and hoping it lands on someone before they walk out of your projected landing zone. But if you hit them, they get all happy and speed off. I might need Cupid to shoot me first thing in the morning too. It's a bit hard, but a really cute game. Now let's look at a more complicated one. NoOneGame.net is a Japanese website that hosts a ton of escape games. A noteworthy series is Find the Escape Men, which can be played in either English or Japanese. It's been a few years since I tried to learn Japanese, so we'll just stick with the English one. Anyway, the 106th installment in the series was a Valentine's Day special. What, you're surprised by how many games there are? 198 to be exact. But anyway, we're an anime girl and have to make chocolates so senpai will notice us. Literally living my teenage dream here. But we've received a letter from the Unpopular Kids Club saying we can't make chocolates until we find all 10 of them. An unpopular kids club? Are they like the Anti-Lucy Club? There are too many evil clubs out there as of late. But to make sure we comply, they lock us in the kitchen. Now we get an escape game where we dig through cabinets and look around every corner to find items we can use to make chocolates. You also have to pick up every little green man you find. This one runs behind the arrow you click on to leave the screen, but you can use tongs to pick him up. You also have to wait for this one to come out of a drawer to click on him. Other times, you have to click on very small green things that will turn out to be escape men, or Picto-san as they're called in the Japanese version. Nothing like a good old scavenger hunt while making chocolate. You have to boil water before putting it in a bowl and then put chocolate in a smaller bowl and put that on top of the boiling water bowl. Then you wait it out. Not gonna lie though, the chocolates look really good when they're complete. But at the end, Senpai shows up. We call him Peter, in the most interesting spelling possible, and it turns out this was all a prank he was pulling on us. Oh, Peter, trapping your girlfriend in the kitchen and forcing her to collect little green guys. You're always such a riot. Then you can choose either sweet mode or bitter mode to either enjoy the chocolates with him or yell at him for breaking into your house. Not bad. I'll admit, the game is really interesting, but very complicated. I had to look up a walkthrough about halfway through it. I'm not exactly phenomenal at escape games, though. Still, this series had another Valentine's Day game, and it's far more complicated than this one. In the 197th installment, we head to a world-famous chocolate shop to buy chocolates for our co-worker Dennis. I see we're in the assassin business. However, like before, we're trapped in the store and unable to leave until we find the 10 little men. By now, we're a little more familiar with this series, so we know to click on absolutely anything and everything. One is hiding in a poster that says 2019 on it, but the date is actually a hint. Each number is a different letter, so you peel the flap of the matching color the amount of times that correlate with its number. I like this puzzle because it's hard to figure out, but not too complicated at the same time. I also like this one where you have to keep an eye out for the green man that reaches for a cookie, and the puzzle at the end is a little complicated, but I was able to figure it out. And once you reach the end, you give Dennis the chocolates and he turns green. I'm not sure if it's because they made him sick or if they turned him into a little green man, but it's still a funny ending. Like the first one, this is a bit challenging, but cute and enjoyable. I might have to check out more games from this series. But anyway, since we're on the topic of Japanese games, let's look at the ones made by Team Inazuma based on the Touhou Project. People seemed amused when I referenced it back in my Crystal Maze video, so why not make another reference here? Team Inazuma made a bunch of Touhou fan games, and anime ones as a whole, but these were released as Valentine's Day specials. This is Put Valentines in Dorotabo. Dorotabo are a type of yokai that form from the spirits of old men when their rice fields aren't taken care of after their deaths. As Gensokyo is filled with different types of yokai, it isn't surprising to see one here. We play as Patchouli Knowledge, the librarian of the Scarlet Devil Mansion, and we have to throw chocolates at one. And for those of you unfamiliar with Touhou, yes, that is her name, Patchouli Knowledge. Get used to seeing some unusual names if you engage with this series. Literally, what is a clown piece? A piece of a clown? And the yokai says completely random stuff when you hit it. Sometimes it's Valentine Oishii, and other times it's a math equation. You know, the usual stuff. But there's a more interesting Team Inazuma Flash game that was made for Valentine's Day. The title seems to translate to Chiyoko Frozen, and I'm not really sure what that means. I think it's supposed to be Cherno Frozen. Her name in Japanese is Chiruno, so I guess it's kinda similar. And once again, we're Patchouli, but Cherno seems to have invaded the Scarlet Devil Mansion and we have to deal with her. Obviously, as the strongest fairy, she's a real threat and needs to be taken seriously. However, Remelia is also there, and we can't hit her by accident, otherwise we'll incur the wrath of Sakuya. No one wants to face the wrath of the time-stopping knife maid. The scenarios are also unusual. Sometimes they're hiding behind pots, dangling from a rope, cowering, or getting ready to fight. Then you douse them with water no matter what they're doing. This causes Cherno to freeze. And sometimes, a rainbow snowman shows up. That's always nice. But this game also has a colored version. It's really cute. You also have to be fast, because if you let the timer run out, Patchouli douses Remelia by default. What a silly little yokai. And you're probably wondering, what does any of this have to do with Valentine's Day? Frankly, so am I. But I mean, Touhou is a pretty romantic franchise in itself, isn't it? Who could ever forget when Alice Margatroyd said, why don't I miss you a lot forever? That song makes me cry every time. But to look at a more conventional Valentine's Day game, this is High School Romance. It sounds extremely boring, but it's actually a little intense. I do have to warn you though, be mindful if you play this for yourself. Clicking on almost anything aside from what you're supposed to will redirect you to a different website. It's really annoying. But in this, a girl is suffering at the hands of bullies and you have to save her. You have a limited amount of time to gather items around the school to take the bullies out one by one. All of which through means that would probably kill them in real life. You can also find letters that spell the word hints, which will give you extra time. And wait a minute, Polly? What's she doing here? Just when I thought I got away from her, get out of here, you little brat. I deal with you enough as is. But right away, the game confuses you. One of the first items you find is a blue bottle, but this kid says he misplaced his blue bottle. Surely you give it back to him, right? No. That's right, they pulled a Morty Crackers situation on us. But you find candies and give them to Polly in exchange for lab items. By going to the lab, you can combine items to make deadly means of taking out the bullies. You have recipes, but they only tell you a couple ingredients, as well as how many you need for each combination. Still, they're easy to figure out, but you better be quick, because if you take too long to save the girl, the bullies literally kill her. Look at this game over screen. Now that's brutal. The stakes are high, so it's no wonder you're trying so hard to save her. You poison one guy's sandwich, electrocute another guy, and throw a sleep-inducing handkerchief at the other one. But make sure you provide a pillow for him to fall on, though it isn't really clear where you're supposed to put it. A failed method also leads to a game over. Well, blue-haired protagonist guy, I think you'd better listen to the words of Jeff Buckley and forget her. This game is undoubtedly strange, but fascinating in a weird sort of way. Now let's move on before I have to look at Polly for any longer. So for the last proper game I'd like to look at, we're gonna tackle a big one. This is one from a highly popular web game franchise that I've managed to avoid up until this point. This is Baby Hazel Valentine's Day. Baby Hazel is an extremely popular series of online games where you help this character named Baby Hazel accomplish a series of goals, though she's more of a toddler than a baby if we're being honest here. Most of the games are extremely straightforward and just tell you what to do, so they're kinda mindless. But let's see what Baby Hazel cooked up for Valentine's Day. Right away, we can see the stakes are a little higher than in your usual Baby Hazel game, because we have a happiness meter. If you take too long to do something, Baby Hazel starts to cry. It's usually fun to do this in most Baby Hazel games, but in this, it actually affects your score, so you shouldn't do it too much. Also, excuse me, but what the heck is this? This doll is very unsettling. I'd prefer if it wasn't in my presence. Heck, I'd prefer if Hazel didn't make this face in front of me either. I'm also not a big fan of the sound effects in this.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
But Hazel asks for something and you click on that respective thing. Then you drag it where it needs to go. And uh-oh, the doll is alive. Burn that thing, Hazel. Or not, I guess. Heck, who am I kidding? Baby Hazel's the one who summoned the demon in the first place. Then before you know it, the parents speed in like they're Sonic the Hedgehog. They also call Hazel Baby, so is Hazel her last name? This isn't the only game that refers to her as Baby, so it's a definite possibility. Do you like to join us? No, Mom, you carry on. That is such a weird thing for a toddler to say. Imagine asking your toddler if it wants to help you with something, but it responds with, "I'm afraid not, Mother. Do carry on." But she chooses to stay behind while her parents go shopping. This is because she wants to make gifts for them. She does this by eating a chocolate lollipop. Yeah, that seems like making a gift to me. Whoa, look out, there's a gigantic baby rampaging through the living room. But you make gifts for your parents and grandfather, though I'm fairly certain an old man like him won't be too thrilled with children's toys and a ton of candy that will probably do him in at his age.
Well done.
I hate that voice so much. So we head to the Beachview Terrace to get ready for our Valentine's Day party. Is that actually a thing that families have? Probably not. But first you have to clean up leaves and cobwebs. But it's the spider. Grandfather, there is an arachnid within the premises. I do feel rather frightened.
No.
Okay, that was unexpected. But this is where the game gets especially boring. You just wait for it to tell you what you need, then you click and drag everything where it needs to go. Very entertaining. Then the parents show up so we can repeat the process. Mom, let us eat food. Oh, haha, and here I thought we were going to eat baby Matt here. Glad you cleared things up. But once again, the game just becomes a monotonous series of dragging things to serve everyone one at a time. Just check out this pacing.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Barrels of fun, ain't it? Then they consume. Ugh, that makes me really uncomfortable. Then Hazel gives her relatives the presents she made. Seems like her grandfather is her favorite, because his gift is significantly bigger than these mediocre ones she gave her parents. Her father especially got the short end of the stick. I mean, he's considerably ignorant of her throughout the series, so I think we've got a bit of a deeper story going on in the Baby Hazel verse. But then everyone dances and the game ends. So yeah, this game was very unusual. I appreciate that they added the happiness meter to try and shake things up from the usual Baby Hazel game, but it still doesn't really provide much of a challenge. It's really just something you let your toddler play to find amusement in. And hey, the system's been working for them, so they have no reason to change it. Either way, let's move on from this. I don't like the way Baby Hazel's been looking at me. So we'll be wrapping this up momentarily, but for our final endeavor, let's go back to Nickelodeon and check out one of their quizzes. People liked it when I did a whole video on these, so why not finish by finding out what kind of Valentine I am? Always wanted to know. Well, I am spending Valentine's Day making a video about games, so I guess in a way that's how I'm spending it. Now I'm really tempted to choose the nunchucks, but the bow would make me pretty. Gotta go with that one. Oh, absolutely clean up. Big fan of cleaning things. I can't stand the sight of a dust bunny. And of course I'm going to have a picnic in space if I'm given the option to. We can get Mango Plumo to take us there. And I gotta say, this spaghetti bouquet is extremely tempting, but I think I'm a little more fascinated by this ocean one, so we'll go with that one. Work for Senpai's attention, or just wish for it? Well, obviously I'll go through the whole process of finding little green men to appease my crush, so yeah, I'll work for it. And we'll walk to dinner, because I do that a lot. And ooh, good options here. I gotta go with sushi though. I'm actually a really big fan of it. Now we get to choose between our friends or our outfit. Is this the conflict of a Bratz episode? I like defying standards of fashion. And obviously I have to go with "you're the Krabby to my Patty." Might use that line in real life. And now let's see our results. Ooh, I'm April O'Neil? You know what? Great answer. I'm satisfied with this. I think that's a good and satisfying note to end the video on. And so, what have we learned from all this? I think I can confidently say that Valentine's Day games are really weird. But making this video put me in the mood to go play a Touhou Project game. Maybe that's how I'm gonna spend the holiday. I don't mind third wheeling to these two. So anyway, that's gonna do it for the time being. I hope everyone has a very love and chocolate filled holiday. Just don't eat too much of it. Or do. It's your call on that one. So for the time being, be sure to subscribe, follow me on the accounts in the description below, and tune in to our next installment. Thank you for joining me. I will see you in the next memory.